Welcome, one and all, and welcome back to Stelmo's Rants and Raves. I'm Stelmo. Let's just jump right in there. I want to do some more ranting today. And before I get going, let me apologize. I realize that there are some distortions in my final video. At this point, with this camera, there's not much I can do. I have a replacement. It's coming in Sunday, so today and tomorrow, and sometime on Sunday, I may still have to use this camera until the new one gets here, which hopefully that resolves the problem, because I certainly don't think it's the computer itself. What I want to talk about today is I want to talk a little bit about AI. Now, I'm an older senior citizen, and I'm really concerned about this. And I think part of what has me so concerned is I'm seeing odd things that make no sense to me. Unless, of course, you suspect that they're implementing and basically forcing AI upon us, whether we like it or not. So the first odd thing that I noticed today was on one of my cell phones. And all of a sudden, I have showing me where I made 3 calls in 2024. Now, those calls were not even made from that phone, because I get new phones every year. So I don't know why that suddenly appeared. And it's not like they just called me or anything like that. And these things appeared under 2 old messages that I am saving. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying 2024, they were deleted ages ago. And now all of a sudden they come back on my phone without me asking or anything. Another thing that I notice is, and let me say, I have a lot of different devices and stuff. And this isn't, if it was just 1 or maybe 2 devices, I would say, okay, it's just a problem with the device. But it seems to be with all my devices. I'm having a hard time with the touch. It takes forever. And I think the reason it's taking forever is once I make the selection and before it goes to program that, I think what's happening is it's going to their main AI computer where it's recording every single thing that I'm doing. And then it comes back to me. And that's what's, I believe, is causing the delay. Now, if anybody out there has had this happen to them, or if they think they know of a solution to this, or what the cause of it is, trust me, I'm all ears. I would love to hear anybody's input in this. But, just the more I hear about AI, the more, concerned I'm getting. Because right now in this country, there are so many things that just make 0 sense to me. Now, look, I get it. I'm not privy to all the information that some of these politicians and other office holders have. I get that. But still, how can Donald Trump say he's got forever to wait on Iran? I say, I don't get that. I fail to grasp. So I say to myself, well, what is he waiting on? I mean, here he's doing another 60-day ceasefire, and it's not a ceasefire. I mean, see, that's another problem that we have with politicians, and Donald Trump is now falling into this trap where words no longer have their long-term meaning. Now, you don't go shooting in a ceasefire, okay? It's not a ceasefire, just by definition. And both sides have routinely been firing up something on the other. The other day, Iran was firing on Kuwait for no reason. But Donald Trump thinks he can enter a deal with these people. So there's obviously something big that I'm missing. And I can't help but wonder, does it have to do with the implosion that's happening right now in the private credit markets? And ultimately what that's going to do is it's going to bring interest rates up. I know Donald Trump wants them to come down, but they're going to go up. And this is what happens when you spend too much money you don't have. It becomes more and more expensive because, okay, the Fed's favorite inflation gauge was flashing red. Was it yesterday or the day before? Now that's the second set of figures that we've seen come out that show inflation rising. And I think we haven't seen the jumps yet because the rise in fuel costs, which is substantial, especially, and this is something most people don't realize, the rise in the cost of diesel. You know, when I was young, diesel was like $1 cheaper than gas. Now, I realize there weren't as many diesel pickup trucks and other diesel, passenger vehicles as there are today. And maybe there's more on the truck, 18-wheelers and stuff. I don't know. But I know now, at least here where I'm at, diesel's about $1.50 more a gallon than gas. And it takes time for this to filter through. But everything that gets delivered to a store anywhere, they're going to have to raise the prices. They've been eating all of these problems, or as much of the problems as they can over time. And I don't know. There's something not right here. I think, I've said it before. I think ultimately our financial system is going to collapse. And the reason I say that is because I remember vividly back when George W. Bush was president and his Treasury Secretary, Hank Paulson Jr., came in and told him, look, let me take that back. We don't know exactly what he said to George Bush. What we do know is this. George Bush was vehemently against bailouts. But his Treasury Secretary went to talk to him, and at the conclusion of that meeting, the president decided that he had to bail out the banks and the car companies. And it was certainly rumored. I don't know that it was ever proven, but it was certainly rumored that Paulson told the president that if you don't do this, the whole system will collapse and it'll be pandemonium at best. And so the president did the bailouts. Now, instead of fixing the problems, all they did is put Band-Aids on and have actually made the problems far worse. So I don't know if there's going to be another Lehman Brothers moment but something is going to happen, and I think it's going to be fairly soon. That's really going to shake up these financial markets. Certainly, plenty of people are on notice now that there are problems with private credit, and investors do not like to hear you cannot get your money back at this point in time, and we're not sure when you'll get it back. And I think what history is going to prove is over the last decade, maybe 2 decades, that there's been such corruption in these companies. They've inflated the prices of all their assets so that they could borrow exorbitant amounts of money, that now that things are taking a downward turn, these people have no clue how to pay this money back, and it's not going to get paid back. These loans are going to default. How many companies are going to go under, the Lord only knows. But I think once it starts falling apart, they're not going to be able to hold it back together. You know, when you build a house of cards, you cannot be surprised when sooner or later something's going to tug at one of them cards and the whole thing's going to come crashing down. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I really hope I'm wrong. I don't really think I am wrong. I think that this is a serious problem. And so we got all of these problems, and there are so many things that we don't hear our politicians discussing, and that these are important issues. Like, how many jobs are going to be lost to AI? How are they going to fix that? Are they going to even try to fix it? And this is a big thing. And they say that AI is first going to hurt white-collar workers long before it gets down to hurting blue-collar workers. So, these are people who, 6-7-figure incomes. They're going to be yelping like stuck pigs because they're not going to be happy. You know, when doctors and lawyers and stuff like that start losing their jobs to machines, it's not going to bode well, because those are the people that tend to contribute a little bit higher percentage to political candidates. But these are all things nobody's talking about them. You know, I remember, and I think I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to say it again. When I was younger, I used to every once in a while, so that I knew when it was, but there was a time during the baby boomer generation, to which I belong, when things were going to shift. Before, whatever, I don't remember the year, but before that year, there would be more people entering the workforce every year than leaving it. But once the shift made, it was going to be the opposite, where less people are entering the workforce than leaving. And as you tapered down through the baby boomer generation, this gap was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And yet nobody seems to be addressing that. And so it seems to me, you know, I used to say that I consider the stock market somewhat of a scam. You know, it's fine as long as you have plenty of people to buy stock and they've got the money to buy the stock. And apparently people out there, some people have the money, allegedly. But I don't know where they're getting it from, because as you have less and less workers entering the workforce, you have less and less people who can buy stock. You have more and more people retiring. And when people retire, they start withdrawing from their 401k, and they have even less money available than before. And so I don't hear anybody talking about any of these things, but yet I believe they're major points. And the silence is. And so I'm saying to myself, do they know that something's going to be happening and they're just waiting on whatever that is to surprise us all? I hope not. But, you know, Donald Trump, we got forever in Iran. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're spending who knows how many tens or hundreds of millions of dollars a day keeping all of that equipment over there. And, yeah, no big deal. It's only money. We got plenty, right? Oh, wrong. We don't have any money. That's right. We're heavily in debt, and we keep spending money. And with inflation going up, people are not going to be buying the Treasury bonds because they're not going to want to invest money and lose money to inflation. So the interest rate is going to have to be substantially above the rate of inflation, which it's not. And the rate of inflation is just going to go up. It's going to go up a lot more. And I say to myself, they have to know it. I hear these guys, Lutnick and Besant and all of them, they come out there and, oh, things are super great. Donald Trump's bringing in trillions of dollars. Everything is booming. But ask the people on the street, is it booming? You cannot fool the people when it's the economy. They live the economy every day. All of these people, they're not going out shopping. They're not seeing what's happening in the rise in prices. They're not seeing it. And I don't buy our inflation number. You know, another thing occurred to me about the inflation. One of the things, and I just saw this today with a product with macaroni and cheese. You know, the cup is like 3 to 4 inches tall, and there's like a half of an inch of product inside this thing. And we all know what that is. It's called shrinkflation. And I just don't believe that the government takes into account shrinkflation when they look at the inflationary numbers. I think they have their list of products that they compare prices on from one point to the next. And they don't look at whether that product's 16 ounces or 14 ounces or 12 ounces or 10 ounces. You know, it's whatever product that they've been looking at for years. It's been in their list for years. And so I think shrinkflation is a serious problem out there. And I don't know the answer. I really don't. But if anyone out there can help me solve any of these mysteries, I would love to hear their take on it. And anybody have any other questions or anything, feel free to put them down below, and I'll try to answer every question as soon as possible. I thank you all. Have a safe day. Stay safe. It really is a crazy world out there. Bye-bye.